afternoon. I have a letter in my hands, rather a complicated letter, that the writer heads question on method. It makes me feel a bit nervous, really. Do you know, I've just looked over to my right, and there's some these tall, what we call flags actually, and the first yellow flower is just there peeping from behind a leaf. I don't know if Phil can get it on the camera, just overhanging the water. And as I was walking here, I thought about this letter on this lovely summer day, not quite summer, late spring day. And I thought, well, what's the method of capturing this lovely day so that we don't lose it? Can we capture it? Can we write a recipe on how to repeat such an unrepeatable day? Of course, people take photographs these days, don't they? They might even have a clever recorder that records the birds. But we can't, can we, realistically? So we say, make the most of it. It'll be raining tomorrow. Count your blessings. So how do we, in a way, capture the method of another person's life? Can we? Is it even a possibility? Somebody that we might think has achieved something that we want to. How do we, we can ask questions about this and that, but when you've reached my age, you've got a lot of experience. Most of it you can't remember yourself, what's happened. Put all that together and you get what's standing in front of the camera now. What did I inherit from my parents? Where did they get it from? All the things I've seen and done and travelled and eaten, and however can we sort of put that into a method? So I think this very question is rather misleading. You see, people, this writer asks, reached their spiritual goal. Well, my dear, I'd certainly never say I've reached a spiritual goal. You've heard me say on many occasions that the only safe thing I can say about myself is that I'm still a sinner. If I'd reached my spiritual goal, would I be standing here? I don't know. What is my spiritual goal? What do we mean by it anyway? To fly up with wings as an angel? Sit on a cloud harping or something? Beware of such things. I don't like questions like this. Spiritual goal. I can't keep practicing every day. Why do I sit to meditate if I've reached my goal? Dear, much safer to call ourselves sinners. Much safer. Same with this word enlightened. I'd never call myself enlightened, and I suggest other people don't either. Very dangerous. You should see me in my stupid moods. When I don't go into the supermarket and I don't know what to buy. Can't decide what to have for lunch. It's not very enlightened, is it? Or I don't know what to say. No. Spontaneous inner experience, a kind of gift to them. Well, we all have moments of that, don't we? I've never had a once and for all enlightened sort of. I've had many insights, and I usually forget about them after an hour or so, and you wouldn't believe I'd ever had them if I hadn't made a note in my notebook at the time. Well, I suppose little by little they add up to something. Even stones get worn away by dripping water, don't they, eventually? They didn't labour for it. Well, I have plodded on with meditation faithfully for getting on for 60 years. Yes, I did work for that. Night and morning I've sat down to meditate. Yes, I suppose that's the one thing I can say I have done throughout my life. I've read quite a few books. I've stuck pretty much to the Bible. What helped me to pray from the heart? That's a difficult one. I think it's probably in my genes. Maybe it's my Russian blood. I don't know. Some people can do it more easily than others. Some people just wear their hearts on their sleeves. I thought it was something wrong with me as a child. Always over emotional. Always falling in love. Endless heartaches, disappointments, not only with girls but with animals, and tears over the fate of the countryside, all the things I loved. Yes, some people are just made that way. I wouldn't say I've done much about it myself. It's just people used to laugh at me for being like that, feeling things very deeply. Yes, some people work more with their hearts than their heads, but well, I guess we're just made that way. You suggest a path to take that you didn't take yourself in arriving where you are these days. Well, I suppose I do suggest a lot of this, feet on the ground, but my granddad used to say that to me as a little boy. He also used to say, little boys should be seen and not heard, so I wasn't encouraged to talk very much. I've always been quiet. But I think more than that, as a farmer, I used to work by hand, and when you work by hand, you work attentively, or else you do it wrong. As a little boy, Dad taught me to use hammers and screwdrivers and chisels and things, and a knife, and you learn to pay attention. Well, that's as good as keeping your feet on the ground. It's all just to be present. Of course, people didn't call it being present then. They just use your common sense. Just watch what you're doing, Dad would say. Pay attention. He'd get cross if I did it wrong. Pay attention, he'd say. So I learned. So, well, speaking on these videos, I'm talking to people who don't necessarily have a hammer and chisel in their hands. But the one thing we can do is keep our feet on the ground, which is a sort of handy general term to use to keep in the present. Then he says, I've also used a mantra for 45 years, which what it brought me I still don't know. Well, I don't know what 60 years has brought me, really. Hard to pinpoint, isn't it? Perhaps it seems natural to me now to just sit and come to quietness, but I think anybody who sat by this river on a day like this would come to quietness, whether they meditated or not, maybe. Very hard to say what it's brought me. I suppose what you could say is that it's brought me beyond words. Yes, that's perhaps what it's done. So it's brought me beyond knowing. Yes, that's what it's done, definitely. It's brought me to the safety of not knowing. There now, that's a proper answer to you, isn't it? Because if you know what meditation has done for you, then, my dears, you're still at the beginning of the journey. If you don't know what it's done, then maybe you're on your way. Maybe you're on your way. And similarly, with all this rather sort of, well, frankly, silly talk about reaching a goal. If you know what your goal is, dear, you're still way off the point. There's no goal as such. You leave all that stuff behind in the nursery. When you're going into the intimate, how on earth can you talk about goal? We're not playing football. In spiritual work, you will launch off into the infinite. And there's no end to it. Therefore, you can never reach your goal. It just goes on becoming ever more wonderful. There you are. And how it happens. How does a summer day happen, dear friends? Isn't it wonderful? Just look around you. Look around you. At the wonder and glory of creation. And thank God to be a part of it. Thanks be to God. There you are. I hope I've made sense of this letter. Perhaps I've made nonsense of it. That's probably my best answer. Lots of love. Lots of love to you all. There you are. Love solves all questions, doesn't it? It doesn't solve them, it dissolves them. All questions dissolve in the glory of love. Glory be to God. Until another day.